I was going to start my remarks by saying that we're going to stick to a tight schedule so that you can enjoy a longer reception after the meeting. So I'm going to try to be brief. Just a comment about where we are meeting this year. This is a larger convention center than where we welcomed you last year. This was a decision we made so that more of you could come, and I'm really thrilled to see so many people in attendance today. So 2023 was an extraordinary fundraising year with the successful endowment of the Dorothy Wesley Porter Fellowship. Yes. Never had the Society led such an ambitious fundraising campaign, and never has our fundraising goal been met so quickly. As a matter of fact, we surpassed our goal and were able to also secure funding for a Porter New Scholar Award, and you just heard the first recipient of this award, Yolanda McKee, who was also a recipient of a blank award. Her award was a joint one. Such a success would not have been possible without Lisa Baskin's lead gift and her work on behalf of BSA. So thank you so much, Lisa. And it has also been a pleasure to work with Lisa. And we are also grateful to an anonymous donor for their generous match of Lisa Lead's gift, and to all the BSA members, many included in this room and online, who supported this effort. I would also like to thank Bruce and Mary Crawford and Barbara Scheller, who were the first sponsors of the Dorothy Porter Wesley Fellowship. Yes, we did it, and to all of you, I say, let's do it again. In addition to the Porter Wesley New Scholar Award, we are grateful to the anonymous donors who have funded two other awards named to honor Jacob Blank and D.F. Mackenzie, and you heard about those earlier. Ali Nell Swenson was the first recipient of the D.F. Mackenzie New Scholar Award, and again, Yolanda McKee was the first recipient also of the Blank Award. As you can see, and I hope you will agree with me, the New Scholars Program enlivens bibliographical conversations, and we are delighted to see these awards broadening the range of scholarship presented in the program. The William Mitchell Prize, the Catherine Panzer Fellowships and New Scholar Award, the Malkin New Scholar Award, all these grants have been established in perpetuity through generous donations and bequests, like the Porter Fellowship and New Scholar Award. Bequests to the Society make an enormous difference in our organization, and it's easier to do than you might think by joining the Margaret B. Stilwell Legacy Society. If you would like more information or are interested in becoming a member of the Stilwell Society, please do come speak with me or Erin after the meeting. And I am very grateful to an anonymous individual who joined this year the Society. Welcome. I would also like to thank our donors who are providing continuous support for the fellowship program: the Pine Tree and the Peck Stackpole Foundations, the St. Louis Mercantile Library, and William Rees Company. It is only thanks to our donors that the BSA can offer such a large range of fellowships. 2023 was also a very successful fundraising year for the BSA Annual Fund. Thank you to all who participated in the campaign and helped us surpass our goal of $37,000 by over $10,000, and you will shortly hear more about this from Scott Clemens. Finally, I would like to thank the 17 booksellers who are sponsoring and helping with the annual meeting. So these thank yous may sound like mere politeness, but they are not. What I have learned during my tenure as BSA president is that the generosity of our members, whatever the level of their contribution, is essential to sustain the society, its programs, and its growth. It is a form of participation and a vote of confidence in BSA's works, which is extremely meaningful. The work of BSA's officers and council members is just as essential as the support of our members. One of the projects that we have focused on this year is the establishment of a new strategic framework for the society to better communicate our work to our constituency and help determine the society's priorities. This project came out of a project funded by the Dalmas and Pine Tree Foundations to develop a 21st century communication strategy to help us succeed in fulfilling our mission of fostering the study of material text. We are in the final stages of putting the finishing touches on the new BSA website, and we'll start using Instagram to spread the good word later this year. I also encourage you to look at BSA's first printed annual report, which is on a display on the table here, if you haven't received your copy in the mail, introducing BSA's strategic pillars, which was the result of our work. And I have a big announcement to make, and I have now, I left it in my bag, but I just received, before this meeting, a flash drive from John Friedman, which is the accomplishment of 4 years of work on the Policy and Procedures Manual. This was the work chaired by John Friedman, as members of the working group, Alice Schreier, Irene Tischner, John Bidwell, and David Vandermeulen. Thank you very much. $436 pages, no excuse to find information on the workings of the society. This year, council members Maria Victoria Fernandez, Adam Hooks, Tom Goldwasser, and Nick Wilding are rotating off. Thank you very much for your work on various projects, including the land acknowledgement, BSA publications, and the ACLS Humanities ebook project. John McQuillan, BSA secretary, is also rotating off. John's contribution to the society went well beyond taking minutes, which, by the way, were excellent, and I know what I'm talking as a former BSA secretary. Thank you, John, for having been an active member of the executive committee and of the leadership team, and for your work on the land acknowledgement. Scott Clements, BSA treasurer, is also rotating off. Scott has been a pillar of the society for 16 years, and I mean it. Not only has he ensured that the society always had a balanced budget, which is no feat, he has provided generous and valuable advice for which many presidents and other officers are extremely grateful. Today, we would like to thank him for his contributions to the society with a certificate of appreciation. So. Thank you very much to all of you for your work on behalf of BSA. Finally, this is my last meeting as BSA president. It has been an honor and a pleasure to serve the society and to work with so many great members. I have learned so much. A special thanks to Erin, our Executive Director, whose tireless and energetic work and commitment to the Society has made so much possible. I know the Society is in good hands. And now I'm turning to our Vice President, Megan Pacer, who will discuss other key developments of 2023. Thank you.
Halito. I want to take a moment to acknowledge some of the essential work that our committees have done in the past year, knowing that I cannot possibly acknowledge all of their caring labor in the time that I have. First, a big thank you to outgoing Chair Ashley Cataldo and to the Events Committee, who organized more than 10 events in 2023, serving over 1,400 registered attendees using a combination of in-person, hybrid, and virtual formats. These events ranged in topic from pedagogy to new directions in bibliographical methodologies to practical discussions of librarianship and book selling. Some of the virtual event recordings can be found on BSA's YouTube page, and our YouTube page is also now packed with educational and instructional videos created with funding from the PEC Stackpool Content Creator Grant. These videos, which are made by members, are hands-on virtual examples of collating hand-press books and identifying handmade paper. They bring BSA into direct contact with field training and with classrooms. Financially, the BSA is under mindful and exceptional leadership. Our audit committee is preparing for the 2023 fiscal year audit, and the investments committee has watched over and ensured an increase in our investments funds. Our development committee has, as Caroline mentioned, and Scott will tell us more, brought in significant funds. The Publication Committee, under the leadership of Derek Spires and Rachel Hendrick, is looking to new directions in publishing bibliographical monographs and considering the ways that BSA can and should participate in supporting publication in the field in other ways, such as through book subventions. Thanks to the hard work of our editors, Sarah and Jesse, the beautiful PBSA redesign has launched, and the journal currently boasts 486 institutional subscribers and 685 member subscribers. The Digital Strategies Working Group has their hands full, as noted, with the website redesign underworks. BibSite is growing, making 179 resources available open access, and bibliographyweek.org has had over 2,000 hits in the last 3 months. Our Fellowships Committee reviewed dozens of applications to carefully award our excellent crop of recipients this year. These fellowships and work, scholarship, and publication that come from them perhaps illustrate some of the greatest impact that BSA has in a material way today. As organizations, institutions, and booksellers strive to hold to their missions in an economy that increasingly must value survival, the work this committee does to put money directly into the hands of our forward-looking bibliography scholars to support their commitment to infusing the field with the brightest ideas and most creative people is surely more important than ever. The new Scholar Committee as well has faced the difficult decisions as a class of eminently qualified burgeoning thinkers brought their knowledge to our doorstep. The promising future of this year's new scholars is a testament not only to their own work, but to the attention that this committee puts forth to show that BSA is a catalyst for growth in the field. This committee made essential changes to the application process this year, allowing applicants to self-identify as new to bibliography, helping to ensure that scholars of varying career paths are seen. I want to extend an unending gratitude to Barbara Heritage, who we're all missing tonight, who has led this committee through these changes and is rotating off this year. Our nominating committee gathered to think of our future and curated the slate that you all voted on this month. Bringing council members and leaders forward from our active membership is no small or easy task, and I'm ever grateful for their attention to the ways that we can all bring our gifts together to serve our larger goals. Nina Muskinsky and Dave Solo and the Liaisons Committee continue to bring BSA panels, gatherings, and opportunities to partner organizations year-round. They organized the invigorating panel on Wednesday night at the Center for Book Arts, and Jean-Marie Musto brought us the wonderful Chinese book culture and art historical context event earlier this week. Thanks to our liaisons, BSA has a presence at ASICS, RSA, and ABA book fairs. And thanks to John Garcia, our liaison to American Antiquarian Society, BSA now offers a scholarship for first-time attendees to the Program for the History of the Book and American Culture Summer Seminar. Our membership committee is led by Charlotte Priddle, who I think is still out in the hall, who has worked with multiple committees to help support member programming. They coordinate reports on our progress towards achieving our goals in our EAP, which are published quarterly, and PBSA. Not a single committee has worked this year to create program without moving forward with the membership committee as part of their support. And we never forget that serving our members in the joy of bibliography is what brings us all together again and again, even in busy seasons, even in bad weather. It's been an honor to work with our chairs this year. We strive to work under the principles of compassionate accountability. We need each other. We need honest boundaries. We need grace when life takes over. And we need forthright requests for additional support. I want to thank and broadcast my admiration for every time our chairs this year have said to me, no, or I need more help, or I need more people. Community care is the way forward, and I'm so glad that I get to be in community with all of you. To our outgoing chairs, I cannot thank you enough. I hope you'll stay in touch. And to our incoming chairs, welcome aboard. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am John McQuillan with my final Secretary's Report. Membership in the Society in 2023 numbered 685 individual members, including 139 emerging members, 356 partner, 78 sustaining, 34 leadership, 9 advancing, 63 lifetime, and 5 honorary members. The Society was not aware of the death of any member in 2023. However, we recently learned of the death of Thomas Bird, a lifetime member, who passed away in December of 2022. We offer a moment's silence in his honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you all. My name is Scott Clemens. This is my final report as your treasurer, and I'm very pleased that it is a good one. Starting with some numbers behind the extraordinary generosity that you learned of when Cynthia Gibson introduced the new scholars earlier today and in Caroline's presidential report as well. I would present to you as a treasurer's report a very short story in 3 acts: where our money comes from, where our money goes, and how much is left when it stops coming and going. Act 1, where our money comes from, is this slide that you see in front of you, our sources of funds. It is delightful that that very large green Pac-Man shaped slice of the pie, and I know I'm dating myself with that reference, represents contributions and grants to the Society over the fiscal year ended in September of 2023. When I put this data together, and she can back me up on this, I actually emailed Aaron and said, can you confirm these numbers? Because I've never seen numbers like this before. And you've heard them between the Dorothy Porter Wesley Fund, with a lead gift that Lisa made, additional grants from the Peck Stackpole Foundation, the Delmas Foundation, the Pine Tree Foundation, thank you Sylvia and George Ong, the New Scholars Fund. I cannot think of a better proof statement for the viability and the success of our society than our ability to attract this kind of support. That supports our mission both now and into the future. Act 2, where our money goes. We are, of course, a 501c3 not-for-profit organization, and accounting standards require us to break our spending down into 3 very broad categories. First of all, general overhead expenses, keeping the lights on and the trains running, if you will. That was 28% of last fiscal year's spending. Fundraising was only 6% of spending last year, and so delightfully, another maybe slightly or open mouth Pac-Man, programs, which includes all the things that we do, publications, events, gatherings, all this, the papers, all those things, 2/3 of our spending. I am confident that that percentage will actually grow in the years to come as the generosity that we've already talked about begins to generate more program funding. Act 3, our balance sheet. We are, at least in an economic sense, a relatively simple organization. The vast majority of our assets are endowed funds, which ended the year, the fiscal year, at a little over $3.6 million. That is a record level by far. And again, that is the fuel that supports the pursuit of our mission into the future. There's not much else on the balance sheet other than bills we've received and haven't yet paid because they just came in. Those are accrued liabilities, and those things are relatively minor. So I thank you for paying attention, and I thank you as well for supporting the organization at whatever level you do. I guarantee that your investment in the future of bibliography will have a positive return. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Joan Friedman, Chair of the Audit Committee. Last year at this time, I reported to you about a number of unusual delays in the preparation of our 2021 and 2022 financial statements due to the adoption of better controls over our bookkeeping and review processes, along with the onboarding of new auditors and a new bookkeeping firm. At that time, the changes were all in place, and the 2022 financials were about to be reviewed. I'm happy to report all positive progress since then. The Audit Committee received the 2022 review report in June of 2023 and met with the auditors, Huntsman Weeble of Charlottesville, Virginia, on June 22nd. The report was a clean one, and after a few minor editorial changes suggested by the committee, the report, together with IRS Form 990 and New York State Char 500 form, was circulated to Council. Following no questions or comments in return, these reports were finalized and the IRS and New York State forms were filed online. For fiscal year 2023, and remember our fiscal year now ends on September 30th, we were scheduled for a full audit rather than simply a review. In late August, just a month before the end of our fiscal year, we were notified by Huntsman Weeble that despite a long pending application, their firm still had not received certification from the state of New York and would therefore be unable to perform our audit. They recommended to us the firm of Dermody, Burke & Brown of Syracuse, New York, with whom they and we had worked over the past 2 years for certification of our prior two reviews. I spoke with Shannon Nelson, the partner at Dermody, Burke & Brown we had worked with before, and she confirmed that her firm would be able to accept the job of our fiscal 23 audit. The Audit Committee met on September 6th and confirmed the choice of DBB for our 2023 audit, and the firm was engaged. By all accounts, the audit work was extremely efficient with good coordination among BSA staff, the bookkeeping accountants at Charity CFO that we've been using for a couple of years now, and the staff of Dermody, Burke & Brown. From my point of view, this audit was the smoothest and most efficient we have experienced in my tenure, which is, I think, now over a decade, thanks to the excellent condition of our books and procedures. Please be sure to thank Erin McGurl for all of her efforts in the overhauling and rationalization of our bookkeeping. This was not easy work, and she is to be commended for insisting that improvements be implemented. The 2023 audit was completed in early January of this year, and the Audit Committee met last Friday with representatives from DBB and Charity CFO for a presentation of their reports, including the financial statements and IRS Form 990. They reported an entirely smooth process for a clean audit with no adjustments affecting the bottom line required during the course of the audit. This means that all of the financial information flowing throughout the year was accurate and suitable for decision-making purposes. Because we had a full audit this year, this clean opinion provides us the highest level of assurance that our financial reporting is in good shape. I'm going to skip things that Scott already said. and said, just add that the committee is now working with DBB to finalize these reports and effecting the required filings with the IRS and the state of New York. My thanks to the members of the committee, Tad Bomer, Scott Clemens, Mary Crawford, Tom Goldwasser, Mark Samuels-Lassner, and Ken Soner for all of their work, a little bit extra this year, and to Shannon Nelson of Dermody Burke and Brown, and most especially to Erin McGurl. Thank you.
The Mitchell Prize for Research on British Periodicals was endowed to honor William L. Mitchell, former librarian at the Kenneth Spencer Research Library at the University of Kansas, where he was curator of the Richmond P. and Marjorie N. Bond collection of 18th century British newspapers and periodicals, and of the Edmund Curl collection. The prize serves as encouragement to scholars engaged in bibliographical scholarship on 18th century periodicals published in English or in any language, including indigenous languages, within the British Isles, its colonies, former colonies, and occupied territories, including those in North America, Australia, the Caribbean, South Africa, and modern-day Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan. I have chaired this committee twice, and it has been a joy of bibliography to read such innovative and interesting new work being produced on this topic, and also to work with my committee members for get to enjoy their diligence, and as one would expect from 18th century people, their conviviality. So in that 18th century spirit, I do have some macaron for our winner who's here today. I tried to pick the most 18th century flavors, including one called Marie Antoinette, and I'm not sure that that is a flavor you want to taste, but we'll see. We selected both a winner and an honorable mention. Our winner is here, so I will start actually with our honorable mention, which goes to Dr. Hazel Wilkinson, Senior Lecturer, 18th Century Literature, Department of English, University of Birmingham, for her work, The Complete Spectator, a Bibliographical History, which was published in Joseph Addison Tercentenary Essays, edited by Paul Davis, Oxford University Press, 2021. Wilkins' essay surveys every collected edition of The Spectator published in the first 100 years after the periodical's original publication, and the accompanying catalog contains bibliographical descriptions, including collations of 79 editions, accounting for over 600 volumes. The essay situates The Spectator in the context of the historical development of scholarly editing, book illustration, and periodical culture. It aims also to function as a resource for future scholarship on The Spectator and the periodical more widely. And this year's Mitchell Prize goes to Dr. Kelly Plant for her 2023 Wayne State dissertation, Death Writing, Gender and Necropolitics in the Atlantic World, 1660 to 1840. Dr. Plant's work explores life writing through its underworld of, quote, death writing. She examines death notices, newsprint epitaphs, posthumous memoirs, book reviews, and collected works. Specifically, she argues that the newsprint obituary consolidated these functions into one genre to convey news of death with instant biography. Her work dives most deeply bibliographically into Gentleman's Magazine, where she examines the editor's use of their own obituaries to create the dominant death writing system of the Atlantic world, and editor's use of the first newsprint death notices of African individuals, including Ignatius Sancho and Sarah Bartman, for their own agenda. Ultimately, her work shows how the obituary form as we know it today was pioneered by editors/printers/authors in order to build their highly sustainable brand with circulation, as Samuel Johnson puts it in his obituary of the magazine's founding editor, Edward Cave, wherever the English language is spoken. So with that, congratulations to Dr. Plant.
All right, good afternoon. Every year, the BSA funds a number of fellowships to promote inquiry and research in books and other textual artifacts in both traditional and emerging formats. I'm here to announce this year's slate of recipients whose names and project titles appear behind me. Please note that there will be 2 slides. These awardees will use the financial support of their fellowships to fund travel and research within the field of bibliography. These fellowships are awarded through the work of the BSA Fellowship Committee, and I would like to thank the committee's members for volunteering their time and expertise to the work of supporting new scholarship. I would also like to thank and recognize the Peck Stackpole Foundation, the Pine Tree Foundation of New York, the William Rees Company, the Mercantile Library, and the many donors who gave to support the Dorothy Porter Wellesley and Caxton Club Awards. Please note that we are actively seeking donors to support the BSA Rare Book School Scholarship. And if you, please speak to Erin McGurl or incoming treasurer Patrick Olson if this sounds like something that you would want to do. Support for BSA's fellowships program is important because it nurtures new bibliographical scholarship and funds bibliographers to do the time and travel-intensive work that bibliography often requires. It also enlivens the field with new perspectives of emerging scholars, as well as the work of bibliographers established in their fields of study. Please join me in congratulating this year's fellows.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Jesse Erickson, and I'm here with Sarah Warner, and we're the editors of the papers of the Bibliographical Society of America. And we are incredibly grateful to have the opportunity to deliver our brief remarks to the Society's annual meeting. And as we begin our 3rd year in our tenure, I'd just want to express on a personal note how appreciative we are for the support and the encouragement and the collective generosity you all have given us as a truly erudite and collegial community of scholars and professionals. First off, we are thrilled to announce that we are running a full editorial team at the Journal, bringing on over last fall, newly hired reviews editor, Catherine Prater, and a new editorial manager, Dylan Lewis, both of whom are in attendance. Catherine is a PhD candidate at the Institute of English Studies, School of Advanced Study, University of London, as well as a special collections library at Avery Architectural and Fine Arts Library at Columbia University. Her interests are focused on 19th century American printing and the illustration and representation of scientific ideas. Dylan is currently a PhD candidate at the University of Maryland, doing important work at the intersection of bibliography, queer media, and 17th and 18th century English and German literature. And we are fortunate that we're able to expand when we did, because inevitably it'll help us continue building on the momentum that we've been experiencing since we started putting plans into motion to expand the range of the journal's bibliographical coverage while establishing newly documented and professionalized procedures for the journal's workflows. And some of these documents are viewable through the links found here on the BSA website. And as of January 2024, we are encouraged that we have been getting a healthy level of submissions with a good balance of articles and notes and reviews, as well as in the New Reflections category. These submissions have covered a range of topics from the more familiar, like Hee-Jin Kim's revision and duplication in early plays, to growth areas in the field, like Whitney Trittian's What is a Fragment? And to help in this endeavor, we've likewise expanded the journal's advisory board, bringing on the board's second of 3 cohorts under our tenure. The board is as currently constituted. Expertise covers such disciplines as Africana studies, Anglophone America, Black print culture, early America, early modern Europe, indigenous studies, Latin American studies, of course, Shakespeare studies, women and gender studies, Victorianism, and various other areas of research. So now I'll hand it off to my co-editor, Sarah.
So one of the joys about editing a journal is you never know quite what year it is. So this is a report about things that we did in 2023, but in fact, I'm here to tell you about what's going to be happening in 2024 because we have done a lot of this work already. So a little bit of a preview. We've got a lot of great stuff for you. I wanted to show you the new theme for next year's covers is type, which gives us a lot of options, and we're peeking now at the March cover, which is of some bronze type from the late Joseon period, held by the National Museum of Korea. And as a side note, huge thank you for anybody who works at any sort of library or other sorts of museum institution that makes great high-quality digital images available for fair use and under copyright and public domain. You're doing really great and helpful work for bibliographers, among others. I also wanted to mention that with this new volume, volume 118, we're making a couple of slight tweaks to the design. Primarily, we heard and we agreed about the narrowness of margins. So we've worked with the designers and with the printers to increase the size of the margins, which should make it the reading on paper experience a little more friendly than you might have found it initially. Even more exciting, I think, is looking ahead to the incredible content that we have coming up for you all. Articles, there's a lot to be excited about. This is just a peek of what's going to be in the March issue, just the articles. We've got pieces on an 1870 raised type edition of Merchant of Venice, a consideration of how Black bibliographical research can enrich our understanding of formerly enslaved authors, research that builds on an earlier PBSA issue, which is nice to see. And a look at extant shelf marks in the UVA's Rotunda Library. For the June issue, we're very pleased to announce here that we have a special issue coming out on the topic of queer bibliography. It's going to be edited by, guest edited by Malcolm Noble. That come up? Yes, it did. And Sarah Pike. This issue draws on papers delivered at last year's Queer Bibliography Symposium in order to explore the theoretical foundations and practical applications in this field of study. We hope that it will provide readers with the necessary degree of both introduction to and sophistication with that is needed to carry on this important conversation on how the field of queer studies has been, and will continue to impact bibliographical practices. In the second half of the year, some of the work that will be coming out is featured on this slide. We'll have a piece from one of last year's new scholars, Seamus Dwyer, on Bastard Hands, an exploration on the presence and absence of Shakespeare in Beckett's library, an analysis of 1990s zine distributors, and a study of projected books that were developed for World War II veterans. There'll also be bibliographical notes, including one on waste paper and one on Hand D in the manuscript play of Sir Thomas More. If you're Shakespeare people, that will be like, whoo. Sorry, I was a Shakespeare person, so I spent a lot of time like, what are actual new things that we do? In any case, it's, as you can see from the type of material that's coming out this year, the amount of work that Jesse has put in and our advisory board in helping us, it's an incredible range of bibliographical topics, and we're really so delighted that the community has sent them to us. I hope that you are as excited about the new directions in bibliographical scholarship reflected in the journal as much as Jesse and I are. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to steward the journal of what I think is, thanks in large part to Erin McGurl and to the guidance of the council and the officers, the most exciting bibliographical society around. Like not even a competition. And Jesse and I are deeply grateful for all of the ways in which you all contribute to this work as readers, as subscribers, as authors, and as reviewers. Please do reach out to Catherine, who's here. If you're interested in reviewing a book, there's also information when you get to the reception about that. And anytime Jesse and I welcome queries and comments and conversations about the journal as a whole. Thank you.
My name is Leslie Morris, and this year I was chair of the nominating committee. We were charged with finding 3 new officers and 4 members of the council class of 2027. And I want to be sure to thank the members of the nominating committee, this is where I need my glasses, who put in a lot of time in Zoom meetings and a lot of email so that we could try to come up with a slate of candidates that would adequately represent the diversity of the membership of the society. And I would also like to thank all of those who self-nominated and those who sent in suggestions for a nomination. It's really very helpful to the committee to have that input from the membership. So the members of the nominating committee this year were Heather O'Donnell, Todd Pattison, Douglas Pfeiffer, Jacinta Safford, and Shannon Supple. And of course, we had input from our ex officio members, Caroline Durousseau-Mellish, Megan Peiser, and of course, Erin McGurl. So you've all seen the slate, and some of you did bother to vote on it. I guess I would offer a plea. This year we had 208 votes out of a possible eligible membership of 458. I think we need to get those percentages up. In favor of the slate of candidates, we had 203 in favor, 5 opposed, and 4 actual abstentions. So those of you who didn't vote, I don't know if I should count those as abstentions or not, but as I say, my screen having gone dark, please do vote. So I will just read the slate of candidates. For President, Kanoshi Nishikawa. For Vice President for a second term, thank you for standing again, Megan Peiser. For Secretary, Megan Constantiu. For Treasurer, Patrick Olson. And as Chair of the Audit Committee, Joan Friedman, who has plenty of time now that she's finished that 486-page manual. For the Council Class of 2027, Megan Cook, Jose Guerrero, Magali Rabasa, and Emily Spoonagel, and I had to ask her how to pronounce her name properly. So thank you to all of those who agreed to stand. It does take time to volunteer for the society, but of course the society could not continue to operate without you. I'd now like to invite Caroline to come back up to the podium, and then I think we get to go to the reception. So.
So I totally failed to my duties. I didn't start the meeting, so I will end it. But before doing this, at least let me introduce you to Kinohi, the new president of BSA, who is going to do some remarks.
Thank you. For those 5 who didn't vote for the slate, I promise I will be a president for all constituents. Okay, not just for the 203, but in seriousness. It's okay if you don't recognize me. I think that's in part the appeal of my candidacy. And I want to thank the nominating committee, Leslie in particular, as chair, Caroline, my predecessor, Erin, of course, for facilitating this process, in taking a chance on someone who hasn't been involved with the Bibliographical Society of America for the duration of his professional career, but who really came to see it as a home for his intellectual work as well as for his public humanities outreach. And that's certainly been the case over the past 7 or 8 years. So it was a sort of, taking a chance on me. But as today's wonderful keynote lecture proved, in fact, it's opening up our organization to people who might not immediately or even long-standingly identify as bibliographers. That seems to me to be the key for our growth and sustainability. Bibliography and bookish pursuits is really having a moment. There's not a day goes by that we don't read of forgeries, discoveries, new collections in newspapers and magazines. Matt Cohen, a distinguished textual scholar who was trained in part by Michael Winship as a colleague at the University of Texas, won the MLA's top prize for his book, The Silence of the Mosquito Prince. And let's just put it this way, bibliomania to the death sounds like the new season of True Detective, right? So this is a moment really for all of us to celebrate, but to do that we need to seize the moment and take advantage of all the popular interests in exactly what we do. I love how Daniela asks, how many of you know of the Codex Mendoza? And I raised my hand, and I wanted to say, it's because I read you. It's because I read your wonderful work and turned that reading into an argument for why we might think of the Codex Mendoza as an example of book arts, which the Center for Book Arts invited me to reflect on. Again, moving across disciplines, doing something that art historians might not think of, but that I thought could be useful for creating such connections. So I really take heart in this notion that Daniela put up the dictionary definition of bibliography and said, this is how I, as an art historian, took up this challenge and felt like, even though I didn't know it, this was my audience all along. And that, I think, is what I'm going to ask all of you to help me take out into the world, right? The fact that a lot of what we do is something a lot of people can relate to. Whenever one of us posts, a photograph or even a video of our objects online through social media, it gets hundreds of views and thousands of clicks because this is what people are hungering for. They want this kind of material, sensuous engagement with artifacts, and then to think about how these engagements actually open up new ways of thinking about our world. So for me and my own term as president, I'm thinking of what we do here not just as something that applies methodology and to a set of artifacts. It's not just taking things and putting it into practice, but really thinking of bibliography as the point from which we begin to ask the most important questions of our time. And those questions, that privilege of being able to ask those questions with techniques and strategies that we're all schooled in, I think is something that can bring so many more people into our remit. With that, I want to ask the three other elected officers to join me on stage because I want to recognize them as an essential part of this new team. Megan Pizer, Vice President, Megan Constantinou, Secretary, and Patrick Olson, Treasurer. I think I can speak for all of them in saying we are so honored and privileged to serve you as the next administration of the BSA. Thank you. Thank you.